Cheetah stops a safari vehicle. The reason why is terrifying. The sun had just begun to dip below the horizon, casting a golden glow across the African savanna. The dusty air was thick with the scent of dry earth and tall grasses swaying in the evening breeze. In the distance, the sounds of the wild echoed, the rustle of unseen creatures, the occasional call of a bird, and the low rumble of the safari vehicle that was steadily making its way through the heart of the wilderness. Inside the vehicle, a small group of tourists sat, their faces pressed against the windows, eyes wide with awe at the animals around them. Among them was 35-year-old Mia, a wildlife photographer from the United States who had always dreamed of this moment, the chance to witness nature in all its raw beauty. Beside her, her husband Alex whispered excitedly, pointing out the window as a herd of elephants grazed in the distance. But as they neared a bend in the trail, something unusual caught Mia's eye. At first it was barely noticeable, a fleeting movement among the trees, but then it stopped her cold. There, in the fading light, was a cheetah. Not just any cheetah, but one that stood frozen in the middle of the dirt road, its amber eyes locked onto the vehicle. Its sleek body was taut with tension, muscles coiled like springs ready to pounce. "Is that?" Mia whispered, her breath catching in her throat. Alex turned, his eyes squinting into the setting sun. "Yeah, it's a cheetah. But why's it standing there?" The driver, an experienced guide named Isaac, slowed the vehicle. "It's rare for a cheetah to approach a vehicle like this," he muttered, his voice betraying a hint of unease. Mia's camera hung loosely around her neck, her fingers itching to snap a photo, but something about the cheetah's stillness held her back. It was as if the animal wasn't merely watching them, it was waiting. The tension in the air was palpable, almost suffocating. As the vehicle came to a halt, the cheetah remained motionless, its piercing gaze never wavering. Isaac turned around, his face suddenly serious. "Stay quiet," he warned. "Something doesn't feel right." Mia's heart pounded in her chest. What could possibly be wrong? This was the moment she had been waiting for, a chance to photograph a wild cheetah up close. But why was it acting this way? Why wasn't it darting away like every other cheetah she had seen in the wild? The wind picked up, rustling the dry grass, but the cheetah did not flinch. Its eyes remained locked on the vehicle, intense and unblinking. Then, as if on cue, the creature took a slow step forward, its body swaying slightly with the movement. It moved closer, closer than Mia could ever have anticipated. But just as she thought it would stop, the cheetah made a sudden, jerking motion. Its body twisted as if it were preparing to sprint, but instead, it froze again, its head cocked slightly to the side. There was a chilling pause. Isaac's voice broke the silence, shaking slightly. "I think we should leave now. Something's wrong." Mia's heart raced. This was not what she had expected. She had always imagined the excitement of a safari to be filled with wonder, with awe at the beauty of the animals. But now there was something unnerving about this cheetah, something unnatural in its presence. Her camera, still hanging uselessly around her neck, felt like a weight. Just then, the cheetah made a decision, one that would change everything. The cheetah's sudden movement was swift and calculated. Without warning, it darted toward the vehicle, faster than Mia could process. Her breath caught in her throat as the vehicle shook with the force of the animal's impact. It was not attacking the vehicle, but it was trying to block them from moving forward. Isaac slammed on the brakes, his eyes wide in disbelief. "Hold on!" he shouted, his voice full of fear. Mia's pulse raced as she looked out the window. The cheetah's body was now pressed against the side of the vehicle, its powerful muscles rippling under its sleek coat. It was unlike any wild animal she had encountered before, and she had been on safaris countless times. Its gaze was fixed, unblinking, its eyes filled with something that Mia couldn't quite identify, an intensity that sent chills down her spine. Why is it doing this? Alex asked, his voice tight. Isaac's knuckles were white on the steering wheel as he tried to inch the vehicle forward, but the Cheetah remained firmly planted in front of them. The moment the tires began to move, the Cheetah snarled, its lips curling back, showing off razor-sharp teeth. "I told you to stay quiet," Isaac muttered, his face pale. He glanced nervously into the rearview mirror as if expecting more danger to emerge. The air was thick with tension. Mia's heart pounded and her mind raced. Why was this Cheetah acting this way? It wasn't like the others they had seen, those who swiftly disappeared into the distance, as if nothing could keep them from their pursuit. This one, however, was different. It was determined. Then, without warning, the Cheetah made a move that took everyone by surprise. With a speed that defied belief, it leapt onto the hood of the vehicle, its claws scraping against the metal as it balanced precariously. The tourists gasped in shock, their hands instinctively pressing against the sides of the vehicle for support. Isaac swore under his breath. "This is insane. I've never seen anything like it." The Cheetah stared down at them, its chest heaving with each breath, its eyes unwavering. But this time there was something more in those eyes, a sense of urgency, a warning. Mia's breath quickened as she caught a glimpse of something in the distance, just beyond the Cheetah, something large. As the Cheetah stood on the hood of the vehicle, its claws still digging into the metal, a strange sense of calm seemed to envelop the group. It was almost as if the world had slowed down, the only sounds being the breath of the Cheetah and the nervous rustle of the tourists shifting in their seats. For a moment, Mia could feel the overwhelming weight of nature's power, of being so close to something wild, something untamed. But then, just beyond the Cheetah's gaze, something moved in the brush. At first, it was a mere shadow, a flicker in the corner of Mia's vision. Then it appeared again, more distinct this time, a massive lion, its mane flowing in the wind, stalked out from the trees. Its eyes, too, were locked onto the Cheetah. Mia's pulse quickened. This wasn't an ordinary encounter. This wasn't a simple territorial dispute. There was something more happening here. Isaac cursed under his breath. "It's a predator showdown," he muttered, his eyes darting between the Cheetah and the lion. The Cheetah's eyes never left the lion as it slowly, cautiously, stepped down from the hood of the vehicle. It didn't run. It didn't even look frightened. The Cheetah's posture, poised and ready to pounce, suggested something far more calculated. The lion, too, was careful in its approach. Every step seemed deliberate, its muscles rippling beneath its golden fur. But Mia could sense a hesitation in its movements, a strange wariness. It wasn't the usual dominance the lion showed in these situations. The Cheetah wasn't just a rival. It was a threat. Isaac's voice trembled as he spoke again, barely above a whisper. "The lion doesn't want to fight the Cheetah, but it has to. It's territorial." He looked back at the tourists, his face drawn with fear. "We need to get out of here now." But as Isaac's hands gripped the steering wheel, trying to maneuver the vehicle around the standoff, the Cheetah's gaze shifted. It was no longer focused on the lion. Instead, its amber eyes locked onto Mia's. A chill ran down her spine. For a fleeting moment, Mia felt as though the Cheetah was trying to communicate with her, asking for something, warning her of something. She froze, her breath caught in her throat. Then in an instant, the Cheetah moved again, not toward the lion, but toward the rear of the vehicle. Isaac's eyes widened. "No, it can't be." Before he could finish, the vehicle rocked as the Cheetah darted behind them, out of sight. The lion, its gaze still fixed on the vehicle, hesitated for a moment longer before retreating into the shadows of the trees. For a moment, everything was still. Isaac turned to Mia, his face ashen. "Do you see that?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Mia followed his gaze, heart pounding. A large shape had emerged from the trees, something that had been lurking just out of sight until now. It was massive, its shape distorted by the shadows. The cheetah had not been acting out of territorial instinct, Mia realized with a shock. It had been trying to protect them. The shape slowly stepped into the clearing, a creature so large and terrifying, even the lion had retreated in its presence. As the giant creature emerged from the trees, Mia's first instinct was to look for an escape. But the reality of their situation hit her like a hammer. The safari vehicle was now completely surrounded by danger. There was no way to outrun the beast that had emerged, and there was no way to fight it. The creature was a massive predator, unlike anything Mia had ever seen before. Its body was draped in thick, mottled fur, blending in with the environment like a shadow come to life. It was a leopard, its eyes glowing with an eerie greenish hue as it locked onto the safari vehicle. The cheetah, small in comparison, had made its way to the rear of the vehicle in an attempt to block the leopard from advancing. But now it was clear that this was a battle that could not be won. Isaac's hands were trembling on the steering wheel. "This is bad, Mia, this is bad," he muttered under his breath. He looked to the other tourists, but no one seemed to know what to do. There was no time to make a plan. The cheetah had acted with purpose, and now it was up to Mia and the group to survive. Mia's breath came in short gasps as she processed the situation. The cheetah had saved them from the lion, but it was now facing something much more dangerous. The leopard, a creature known for its strength and cunning. The cheetah was outmatched, but Mia couldn't help but feel a strange sense of awe. She had always dreamed of capturing these moments with her camera, but this was beyond anything she could have imagined. The raw beauty of the wilderness was now unfolding before her eyes, but it was also something far more terrifying. The cheetah, still standing between the vehicle and the leopard, suddenly looked back at Mia. Its amber eyes were wide with intensity, but there was no fear. Instead, there was a sense of urgency, a silent plea for help. Mia's heart swelled with a mixture of empathy and fear. Could she help the cheetah? Could she somehow intervene in this battle of survival? As the leopard crept forward, Mia felt a sudden, overwhelming sense of responsibility. She had to do something. It wasn't just about capturing the perfect shot anymore. This was about survival, about something deeper than any photo could ever convey. Isaac's voice broke her thoughts. "Mia, we need to move. Now." But Mia hesitated. There was something about the cheetah's stance, the way it faced down the leopard with unwavering determination, that made her stay rooted to the spot. And then, just as the leopard made its move, something unexpected happened. The cheetah's muscles coiled, its eyes flickered with an intensity that sent a jolt of electricity through the air. In a heartbeat, the cheetah leaped forward, faster than the human eye could follow. With a powerful roar, it collided with the leopard, knocking it back. The battle had begun. Isaac's voice was urgent. "Mia, we need to go!" But Mia couldn't tear her eyes away. She watched in awe as the cheetah fought with all its might, fending off the massive predator with a precision and grace that left no room for doubt. The cheetah was not just surviving. It was fighting for something far greater than itself. The cheetah's battle with the leopard was swift and brutal. Each strike, each movement was a testament to the cheetah's strength and will to survive. But despite the cheetah's ferocity, the leopard was a formidable opponent. For every swipe of the cheetah's claws, the leopard retaliated with equal force. Mia could feel the tension in the air, as though the very world itself held its breath. She knew they were witnessing something extraordinary, an epic showdown in the wild that few would ever see. But she also knew that this could end in tragedy. With a final explosive movement, the cheetah landed a crushing blow to the leopard's side. The leopard howled in pain and staggered backward, giving the cheetah just enough room to escape. The cheetah, bloodied but unbroken, turned and sprinted toward the safety of the distant trees. The leopard, defeated but not entirely gone, slunk back into the shadows. For a moment, the entire savannah seemed to exhale. The vehicle was still, silent, Mia watched the cheetah disappear into the distance, her heart still racing. She had witnessed the raw power of nature, the survival instinct, the fight for life that governed the wild, and yet the cheetah's final glance at her, the look of silent gratitude, would haunt her for the rest of her life. Isaac's voice broke the silence. "Mia, we need to leave. Now!" But Mia couldn't tear her eyes away from the spot where the cheetah had vanished. The savannah had returned to its quiet rhythm, but the memory of that moment, the battle, the cheetah's strength, its selflessness, would stay with her forever. As the vehicle slowly pulled away from the scene, the savannah seemed to return to normal. The sounds of the wild crept back into the air, the rustling of leaves, the distant calls of birds. But for Mia, everything had changed. She had been a witness to something primal, something that transcended the boundaries of the human experience. The cheetah had not only saved them from the lion, it had given them a glimpse into the heart of the wild, where survival was the only rule. And in that moment, Mia had realized something profound. The wild didn't belong to us. It was its own entity, its own force of nature. And sometimes the creatures that inhabit it, like the cheetah, are the ones who remind us of that. As the sun dipped lower on the horizon, Mia felt a deep, lasting respect for the creatures of the savannah. She had captured their beauty in photos before, but now she had witnessed their strength, their courage. The wild had left an indelible mark on her soul, and she knew without a doubt that this safari would be a story she would tell for the rest of her life.